Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So it's the middle of November, and for many people it's the end of the gardening season because we're coming into winter. For me, the gardening season is just starting, and in today's video what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about why this is the perfect time to start a garden. A lot of plants and things are dying back now, so it's a great time to start thinking about what worked well and what didn't work well. So if you've grown a garden this year, it's time to evaluate the things that went well, where it went well, how it went, and can you repeat the same thing next year. Now I grow over this arch, I grow my bottle gourds, but this arch has lived its life, right? It's about 6 or 7 years old. It's made from recycled timber. It's falling apart. It's not that old, mate, but it's falling apart. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing this winter is taking this thing down and thinking about where I can put up a new arch. We get a lot of sun beating down from us from this side, and the reason I put it here in the first place is because it provided me with a lot of shaded area that I can grow shade-loving plants, so cabbages, kohlrabi, brassicas, generally under this area. So I've got my last few cabbages growing. They're getting a little bit bug-eaten, but we can still get pickings out of those, don't worry about that. Now this thing, when it falls down, I'm going to think about putting it somewhere else. When I take it down, I'm going to think about putting it somewhere where it's serving the same sort of purpose, but without causing inconvenience. Because for once the bottle gourds get established, it blocks out pretty much all the light underneath, and then you can't grow anything. I've had this naga pot growing outside. I'm going to take every single naga off this plant because it's not a very good plant. The cold's got to it a little bit, yeah, so it's not done fantastic here. It's given us a good harvest for what it is, but we can use the soil for something else.
What are we going to do, Papa?
We're going to empty this out onto this bed. So I've got these pots of chilies where I'm emptying a lot of the soil out onto the beds now. We have a tangled mass of roots like this. That's perfect. It's causing a bit of a problem trying to get it apart, but it's fine.
We need to get it up.
And the roots actually in this sort of structure are very good because it's going to hold on to that soil a bit more. It's not going to allow the winter weather to wash it away as easily as it would if it was just loose compost. You've seen I've been a little bit controversial and I've gone against the trend in quite a few of my videos where I talk about it's not a good idea to use compost as a mulch. Yeah, I've done a video why not to use compost as a mulch, and I'll leave a link for it up here and you can go and have a look at that. And it's a bit of controversy, but it's good controversy. Now's the perfect time to plant your garlic. If you haven't already planted your garlic, like me, I started planting my garlic last weekend. I still haven't finished everything, and these are the beds that I'm just getting prepped. I've just been so busy, but hopefully today, tomorrow, I'll get it done.
Papa, knock.
Who's there?
Zombie.
Zombie who?
Zombies make honey and zombies don't.
Go on, I don't know what you... Zombies make honey and zombies don't. Go on. You're going to have to work on those, mate. Go on. So all these tomato plants, these chili plants, they're going straight onto my compost heap. And if you notice that I use a lot of cotton ties, so they're going straight into my compost heap and they'll just compost down and turn into more soil for me. Now, speaking of compost, now is a time when nature's really on our side. It's not a time for things that are growing, but you notice this massive sycamore tree behind me, and you notice these fruit trees behind me, right? Now, this gives us a massive abundance. So when we're talking about compost, look at the amount of leaves that I can collect from here. And this can all go to make compost for next year. And this is going to be absolutely amazing stuff. So in a way, especially around fruit trees, you're killing two birds with one stone whenever you're raking these leaves up, because you can have, codling moth that overwinter in the leaf litter. So what I do is I take out all all the leaves turn this into compost. Once all the leaves have disappeared from here, from these trees, what I'll do is I'll apply a fresh layer of wood chip mulch, and that'll lock everything in and lock all the nutrients in. It'll take away that habitat for codling moth, but it'll create habitat for other insects and beetles that are beneficial for us. So look at all this abundance, absolutely amazing. You know, all these leaves that people are normally throwing away and just letting go to waste, and then they're worrying about compost next year. Let's use the resources that are available to us, recycle all of this, and turn it into some really good, nutritious soil for us for next year. You might be wondering why I'm loading it all into my wheelbarrow when my compost pile's right next to me, and I could easily rake it over. But I'm going to do one more step in my leaf mold making. I always do this, and if you've seen it before, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, you're in for another one of my treats. All of these leaves that I'm raking up, my grass is a little bit long, so all of these leaves are just getting tipped out onto my bed or onto my lawn. And my grass needs one final cut for winter. For a lot of people, they've already done their final cuts, but because we've had quite a warm winter, the grass has put on a lot of growth, and it's time to give it a nice fresh cut just to get it overwintered all right. So all of these leaves that I've just raked up, I'm going to spread them on my lawn, and I'm going to give my lawn a final clipping to get it into winter mode, and I'm going to have a nice mix of leaves and grass that I can turn into leaf mold. It's not going to be leaf mold, it's going to be supercharged because it's going to have the grass in it, so it's going to be quite nutritious. So you've got a really good time to be collecting resources. Loads of people are bagging leaves up and leaving it for the councils and the bin men to come and take it away. We can collect those bags and turn it into an absolute amazing free resource. Now, if you're starting a garden fresh and you've never gardened before, it's a great time to start now, because now's the time you can do all your planning and do all your observations. So for me, my garden is southeast facing or southwest facing. The sun comes over from that direction and goes that way and sets over there. Yeah, so I get a good amount of sun all day long. So now, but there are some areas that are quite shaded or get shaded quite early. So for me, if you were starting a garden now's the time to think about where you want to put things and how you want to plant things. So now's the time to think about what plants are going to need a lot of sun and what plants are going to be okay without as much. So here's a tomato plant, and this bed gets sun all day long. It gets sun from that side, from the morning all the way to the evening. So we grow a lot of sweet corn, we grow a lot of squash, we grow a lot of tomatoes in this bed, and they all do absolutely amazing. This tomato plant is seeing its best days, so I'm just going to take them out. I've left the roots in the ground, let them rot in the ground, and all these sticks and supports. Make sure you take these out and store them somewhere where you're going to be able to use them again next year. And this is going straight onto the compost heap, and this is a blight-ridden plant, but it's going to go into compost and it's going to turn into nutritious soil, because remember, blight doesn't survive on dead matter. I want to show you this bed here actually. Now, once you're pulling all your plants out, you're left with pretty much a blank canvas. And if you saw this bed before, it had a logged edge. Now I've taken my old fireplace and I've turned it into given it a nice surround. What I'm going to do is, one of my plans of this winter is to fix this path. So I'm going to put a concrete path. I'm going to put a concrete path down here. I've got ballast, I've got bags of open cement that I'm going to make a path down here, and it'll hold all this into place. But now, if you look at this bed, all my dead and dying plants are on here. So all the squash plants, all I did with them was I just dumped them on the ground. I've got kitchen scrap straight dumped onto the ground. I've got manure dumped straight onto the ground. And I'm going to allow that to break down over winter. What I'll get is some cardboard. Once I've finished topping this bed up with all the materials that I want to break down here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a layer of cardboard and maybe some wood chip over the top, and that'll turn into lush, nutritious soil over next year. And if you haven't got wood chip, get those fallen leaves. Everyone's got access to fallen leaves. All you have to do is talk to your neighbours, yeah. Tell your neighbours that to collect all the leaves and give them to you. Tell your friends, go around, look, go to your local park and go and collect a load of leaves. Now, where I've got beds with leaves on them, I don't personally rake leaves off those beds because those leaves will break down in place and they'll provide fertility for the soil. I take them off where I don't need them. So I'll take them off the paths, I'll take them off the lawn, I'll take them off places that they're going to go to waste, and I'll use that to make my compost and my leaf mulch. So the biggest theme for this time of year is building soil and building fertility for next year. And remember the thing, gardening is a long investment, it's a long-term process. When I started on this garden, this was yellow clay. Do you know, it was that really nasty yellow clay. As soon as you went a couple of inches past the surface layer, it was really nasty. You got a little bit past the yellow clay and it was blue clay, do you know, the really smelly, hard stuff. It was that. And now this stuff I can dig with my hands. I mean, if I go into my beds, I can dig this with my hands. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. When you think about the type of soil it was, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And this is what we want to create. So now when you're preparing your beds for this time of year, think about what you want to achieve and let's think about how we're going to make it happen. When plants are dying back, they're generally a little bit weaker. So now's the time to tackle perennial weeds. Look, if you look here, I've got loads and loads of couch grass here. I've always had a problem with couch grass in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle these. I'm going to identify areas that are problems and we're going to work on this. So couch grass, remember, it has really deep roots. Yes, buddy. There are bees following you. They just want to say hello.
They're following me everywhere.
So it's okay. Let them follow you. They're good. Bees are good. So all of this is coming out.
I'll do it for you.
You're going to do it for me. Oh, good man. Go on.
You have my stick.
Even more abundance. This is going to go and feed my chickens. So I'm not just going to throw this on the compost pile because it's a perennial weed. I can use this, feed the chickens, kill two birds with one stone. Good man. Oh, don't bring the soil onto here. Oh, look at that. Lush worms living their best life in my soil. I'm loving that. So look for weeds that are a problem in problem areas and tackle those now. Because they're weaker, it's just going to be so much easier to deal with them. And as plants are dying back and things are dying back, it's a time that it's going to be easier to pick up litter. So look, plastic blows in from all over the place. So now's the time to, when things are dying back and you've got a clearer vision of what's happening, it's an opportunity for you to come in and take all of these things out. And it's just going to benefit us in the long run, and it's going to benefit the environment as well. What have you got in there? Shabumpkins. Have you got shabumpkins? Or goldfish? Now this is the bucket that I wanted to show you. Come on, have a look at this. So this is the container garden that I did this year. It's been massively successful. Come over here and have a look at this. So this container, I emptied it out, took all the things, everything out of it, and it's just full of kitchen waste. Yeah, look at the worms down there as well. You see the worm life, can you see it? So it's all rotting kitchen matter, and now I've just dumped compost over the top of it. So I put some leaves and some straw in there as well. Next year when it comes to springtime, that's going to be ideal to just go ahead and plant straight into. Now if you wanted to, a good thing would be to cover that up so too much rain doesn't get in and destroy it. So the big takeaways from this video, first of all, is to evaluate, if you're an existing gardener, to evaluate your successes and your failures and decide on think about exactly what went well, what succeeded, what didn't succeed, and then plan ahead. And this applies to everyone. Think about your aspect of your garden, think about what's going to grow where, what kind of soil you've got, how you're going to improve your soil. That leads us on to the next thing, is work on fertility, work on making that soil as best you can. It's perfect time now to use your resources, use the resources that nature's providing to collect up as many things as you can to make your soil and make your garden even better, so you have a fantastic growing season ahead. While a lot of people aren't getting out and about and getting involved, it's time for you guys to do it. Crack on, make this garden, make next season into a fantastic season for you. So I'm going to leave it there for this one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.